The last video I put out was 2 days ago, and that was about version 0.1.18. And now we have 0.1.19. There are a bunch of fixes in this one, rather than any new features, but most of them are very important, especially if you are affected by them. The maintainers of Ollama have worked hard at supporting new platforms like AMD cards, as well as a native Windows app coming soon, and improvements to the Mac. And gradually, as more users have started to work with it, we saw more memory problems. There are a number of variations on memory issues, many of which are addressed here in 0.1.19. So there are a few issues cleared up around context size, as well as out-of-memory errors. There were some problems with older NVIDIA GPUs. Some improvements were made to lower the requirements for Mixtral. Intel Macs got some performance improvements, and one of the big ones for a lot of users of some of the community integrations is support for browser extension URLs in Ollama Origins. And Ollama will offload to GPUs more now where possible. There's also a new cool model to take a look at. One of the biggest and weirdest issues, and maybe the most ornery to figure out, was around context size. There were new models supported that offered up to 32K or even bigger context sizes. Calculating the memory required for the models themselves is pretty easy. 7B, well, at least 8 gigs-ish. 13B, well, at least 16 gigs-ish. But figuring out the memory for context has been harder. And so if you didn't have the memory needed, and Ollama didn't expect it, you could hit a rather severe crash. Either just Ollama, or sometimes the whole system comes down. I saw my MacBook reboot a few times unexpectedly. Most folks wanted to try the models, but didn't really take advantage of the bigger context, which were enabled in the model files using a larger value of the num_ctx parameter. So a few weeks ago, all the models were updated to use the default context size of either 2K or 4K. If you wanted to use something bigger, you could force a larger context using the num_ctx option. Only problem was that it didn't really always work right. Well, now it does. Let's take a look at how to set the context size. First, in the CLI or REPL, so we'll use Mistral. This is one that accepts a 32K context size. Ollama run Mistral. According to the Ollama AI library, this model is version 0.2. So going to the source repo in Hugging Face, I saw the initial version of Mistral had an 8K context, but V2 has a 32K context. So let's go ahead and use that now. Type /?, and we see the Ollama help screen. /?, and set, and we see all the things that we can set here in the REPL. I want to set a parameter, so /set parameter num_ctx 32768, and press enter. I don't have an example large context to use, but this now actually works, though you definitely are going to need some memory to handle this. And now let's use the API to set the size. I'm in VS Code, and I find the easiest way to test REST endpoints is to use the REST client from Ollama. It's at 4 million downloads, so I am not alone. So post to the API generate endpoint. The next line is for headers, so skip a line and add your object. I'll set a model to Mistral, prompt to why is the sky blue, stream to false just to make this easier, and then add an options object with num_ctx set to 32768. Send that request and we see that it processed. The last example I'll do is I want to create a new model that always has that set. So in a new directory, I'll create a model file from Mistral, parameter num_ctx 32768, and since that's all we're changing, that's all we need. Now back at the command line, I can run Ollama create big Mistral. Normally I would need to say -f model file, but if we're in the same directory and it's called model file, we can skip that. And now Ollama run big Mistral. And now we have our Mistral with a big context. It's hard to demonstrate the rest of the improvements, but I definitely want to create a video that shows the benefit of a larger context as well as its impact on memory usage. If that's something you're interested in or would like to see anything else, let me know in the comments below. I'd also love to hear about how some of these fixes affected you. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.